Hello, I'm sitting here this evening on the last night of the holidays from Thanksgiving, feeling blessed and sitting in my man cave. And it's a place I'm very comfortable and just feeling blessed. And I start looking at what's coming up next week on my calendar, and I notice that on Wednesday we've got a district-wide event. And this event is all surrounding a story told from Rachel's Challenge, and a story I've told dozens of times. And I'm going to tell that story here on video. I need all of our people to see this video so that they'll know what this event is about Wednesday. So this is how I've chosen to do it, and I got to figure out a way to get it to my kids. But it's a story that I particularly like because it shows Rachel in a way that we can all relate to. A young lady in high school who had a job, and I see this every day with kids at Wiley High School, and they have jobs, they work everywhere, and they work late, and they're going to relate to this story well. And I think that's one of the powers in this story. It shows Rachel as a person, and as well as the person we have a tendency to put up on a pedestal, because I do. She's one of my heroes, and I just do. But I get pieces of this story from her journal that she wrote, and from Daryl, who knows the story well, and he shared it with me in a little more detail than he does in the assembly, so I'm going to share the story here tonight. It is a part of our Wiley Way program of caring and giving, and that's what the project is going to be about Wednesday, and you'll hear about it as I finish the story. But Rachel was a teenager at Columbine High School, and she had a job. She worked at Subway. And on this night I'm going to tell you about, she was working late, and she was the last one there, and it was her job to close. And right about closing time, she hears a little bell ring on the door, which seems like every business has. It tells you that somebody has come in, and she turns around, and there's this little old lady standing there in the door. She walks over to a table and sits down, and she's got her bags and all this stuff that she carries around. And she was homeless, and Rachel knew immediately that she was a bag lady, so to speak, and she just got a little irritated at herself because here this lady is coming in, and I don't want to mess with her. I've got homework at home. I've got things to do, and I've got to close. I've got to clean all this up, and I just don't have time for her. She says that in her diary. So she basically ignored her, didn't pay any attention to her at all. And the lady sits up a little shop over there and sets all of her little bags around and things on the table and just sits there. And Rachel goes about business. She's cleaning up. And about that time, the little bell rings again, and she turns around to the customer. And this made Rachel a little irritated, too, that somebody's coming in right before closing time. And those of us who've had those kind of jobs, we know how that feels. So you're sitting there mopping the floor or doing whatever it is you do, and somebody comes in at closing time, you are not a happy camper with that happening to you. And Rachel was the same way. She expresses it in her diary. Well, this lady comes over to the counter, orders 2 sandwiches, 2 bags of chips, and 2 drinks. Rachel fills the order, checks the lady out, and she turns around and starts out the door, and she notices that the lady stops at the little old lady's table. She hands her a sandwich, a bag of chips, and one of the drinks, and walks out the door. Now Rachel in her diary tells how she starts to beat herself up. Here I've passed up an opportunity to take care of somebody, and this person who don't even know comes in and takes care of it. I should have seen that. I should have done it. These are comments she made in her diary, how she felt regret for not taking care of this little old lady. Time passes. She looks up. The little old lady has gathered up her stuff. She hears a little bell ring, and this time the little lady has left, and she's cleaned up everything. Didn't leave a mess, didn't do anything, threw her trash away. She walks out the door, and the only thing she left was a pair of gloves. Rachel runs over to the gloves. They're fingerless, and they're just tattered. And she runs out the door, and it's snowing and sleeting, and she looks up and down the street both ways. Actually says she walks both directions all the way to the end of the block on both places where the subway is. Could not find the lady. In her diary, she says she kept the gloves at the store for 2 weeks, and every night she would go out and see if she could find this little lady. She never saw the little old lady again. That could be the end of our story, and Rachel gave a valuable lesson right there. But that's not the end of the story. After Rachel passed away, her parents were doing what parents do when they grieve, have lost a child. At some point, they started working in the room, moving things around, and they came across her bed, and they moved her bed, and between the box spring and the mattress, these 2 gloves fell out onto the floor. Daryl knew immediately what they were from, as you read her story dozens of times in her diary, and he knew she had kept those gloves as a reminder to never, ever pass up an opportunity to serve others. It's a tremendous gesture on his part. This story is what we're about in the Wiley Way and at Wiley ISD this week. On Wednesday, we're going to ask everybody in our school to just wear 1 glove to school with the fingers cut out. Either hand, doesn't make any difference. And you're going to wear them to school as a symbol of not passing up an opportunity to see whenever you can serve someone else. When people will see you wearing 1 glove on 1 hand, They will ask you, what are you doing wearing that? And I will give you an opportunity to tell this story that I've just got through telling. And it will serve as a purpose to let everybody know to not pass up opportunities to serve others whenever you see people in need. And this story touches my heart. The story does not end even there, though, because there's another piece of that story they don't tell in assemblies that I'm going to tell you at this time. You see, Rachel was scheduled to work at Subway on Thursday of the week she got killed. On Tuesday, she died at Columbine. She was scheduled to work on Thursday. That Thursday night, that Subway was robbed, and 3 teenagers were killed in that Subway at gunpoint. They never caught the people who did it. So if Rachel hadn't died on Tuesday, she most likely would have died on Thursday at that Subway. And this story might not have ever been told because, see, the world was caught up in Columbine. It had just happened. And a Subway robbery, a restaurant robbery in Littleton, Colorado didn't even make the news. So I don't know how that touches your heart, but it brings it into mine in a powerful way. And I want to use this story to promote in our school and in the world to never pass up an opportunity to serve others. Wear your tattered glove on Wednesday.